Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Alternative Design's presentation of new revenue on old cases. I'm Tim Harding, Chief Marketing Officer for Alternative Design, and I'd like to welcome you back to our regular live Wednesday webinar. And I'm happy to be back. I was out last week. I was up in Orange County here in Southern California, asked to do a speaking event with an old acquaintance of mine, Jack Marion, who I think many of you know. Had the opportunity to go to lunch with Jack. We had a great conversation, and one of the interesting things was he told me that he's known about market-linked CDs for a number of years now and has always been interested in their structure and how they related to fixed indexed annuities. And of course, those of you who don't know who Jack Marion is, he's one of the leading authorities on fixed indexed annuities in the United States, has written some marvelous articles on the topic, and he is a real advocate of FIAs and now apparently a real advocate of market-linked CDs, because following our lunch, he went out and started calling people in the industry that he knew. And by the time I came back to speak and then he followed up speaking, he had given me people to talk to. So it was a pleasure to reconnect with Jack Marion. Hadn't seen him for some time, although those of you who've been fairly faithful on these webinars know that from time to time I have taken some of the research that Jack has done and presented it here on a Wednesday webinar. So it was just nice to bump into Jack again and get reacquainted. I also noticed as people were signing in here that our good friend Ernie Linkus is listening in. Of course, those of you who were working with Ernie knows that he retired recently, and I guess he just couldn't stay away because Ernie, I saw you sign in there, and I guess you're here to check up on me as usual and make sure I don't mess up. So welcome, Ernie, not only from those of us at Alternative Design, but from all of those agents that you've helped out so much over your time here. Glad to have you listening in. Today's program, I think that the timing is really pretty good, and the main reason is we're coming up to the end of March. Speaking of the end of March, we're coming up on cutoff dates. This is the last week for you to write business for the month of March. So if you've got a pending case, if you've got something that's close to happening, turn up the pressure a little bit and make sure you get that paperwork in. I'll talk about cutoff dates as we get to the end of today's presentation, but it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So basically, you've just got the rest of this week to wrap up the loose ends on those cases. And, we've got your business consultants sitting here hot on the phones all the time, ready to help you in any way, shape, or form that they can to get that business in and to get you paid as promptly as we possibly can. So if you've got a pending case, you've got something you're working on, let me urge you to give your business consultant a call and see if there might be a good way to expedite it and get business in before that cutoff date, coming up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. But I thought today's timing was pretty good because April has long been considered to be CD rollover month. Now, it's probably not quite as big an issue as it used to be historically. Historically, the two biggest months of the year for CD rollovers has been October and April, April being larger than October. And this really dates back to when banks became unregulated in what they could pay on CDs, and they all started competing desperately for that CD business. So a lot of CDs were purchased in the months of October and April. We're coming up on April. It may not be quite as big a rollover month as it used to be, but it is still one of the bigger rollover months of the year. And so you know that your clients who haven't had the opportunity to talk to you about FDIC-insured market-linked CDs are also probably sitting there looking at rolling over their CDs. And it used to be a fairly routine matter. I mean, it was almost automatic. I mean, back in the day, I remember my grandfather never thought twice about rolling over the same CD money over and over every time. Just all he wanted to know was, well, okay, what's the current rate? Whatever it was, he accepted it. But today, your clients and prospects are having their CDs mature, and they're going, the rate's what? You know, it's almost like they have to pay the bank to keep their money there. Because as you know, and I've said thousands of times, interest rates are currently at historic lows. So as a easy, simple way to perhaps drum up some new appointments, stir up some new business, you might want to take step number one. Idea number one, utilize your own database. You already have a database of clients that you've written business on. And you've already talked to them about annuities. You've already talked to them about your other product lines, but you've maybe never touched them with the concept of an FDIC insured product, and they may just have assets that they've been keeping off of your ledger because they didn't think you had an appropriate vehicle for it. So just a simple email or letter to your existing clients is very likely in the month of April to stir up some potential business, whether it's market-linked CD business or the opportunity to cross-sell into your other client or product lines. Here's a sample letter that I put together. You can certainly write your own, or I'll be happy to share this text with you. But it goes something like this. Dear Mrs. Johnson, historically, April has been one of the biggest months to roll over certificates of deposit. What used to be a fairly routine matter has become a source of frustration for many as interest rates have remained at near record lows. You may not be aware that I am able to offer FDIC-insured market-linked certificates of deposit that offer the potential for a much more reasonable rate of return. I would be pleased to discuss this attractive alternative with you should you have an interest. Best regards, your favorite agent. Folks, if you don't stir the pot, nothing's going to bubble to the top. Here's a very simple, straightforward way to see if you can drum up some business at a very, very low cost. So stir the pot, utilize your own database. Just a simple 3 or 4 sentences could likely result in business for you that you didn't expect in the month of April from your existing clients. Idea number 2, mine for homeowners associations. You know, I talk all the time about finding pools of money and markets in unexpected places because you suddenly have an FDIC-insured product that will open doors and get you in front of certain pools of money that you've never been able to get in front of before. And one of them that I talk about all the time has been homeowners associations. And frequently I'm on the phone talking with one of you and the question comes up, well, it sounds like a great idea, Tim. Yes, I understand they have long-term reserves that have to go into FDIC-insured accounts. How do I find homeowners associations? Well, there's a lot of ways to find homeowners associations. A simple Google search by region will turn up many with many points of contact available to you. But one of the easiest ways is to survey your existing clients. You have clients who are members of homeowners associations. A simple, casual conversation. Mrs. Johnson, I understand you're in a homeowners association. Who's on the board that I could talk to about a better way that they could invest their CD money? Mrs. Johnson will tell you. In fact, you might even find that she knows all the board members or that she's even on the board as well. Now you have an opportunity to approach that board and show them how they can get a better rate of return on an FDIC-insured account. Now, why homeowners associations? Well, because they sit on short-term, medium-term, and long-term reserves, and they don't have a good place to put those long-term reserves, especially if their bylaws are so restrictive that they can only put it in an FDIC-insured account. We think about this. You've got CDs earning less than 1% a year. And yet these reserves are going to sit there for maybe the next 10 years until it's time to repair the roof. Folks, they're losing purchasing power. Homeowners associations are losing purchasing power in their long-term reserves. If you can get in front of the board of directors of a homeowners association and offer them an FDIC-insured option for those long-term reserves, you're going to pick up some significant sized deposits. I know this for a fact because we're bringing in tons of CD money from homeowners associations right now. I mean significant amounts. But that's only part of the story. You see, if you survey your clients and find out which ones belong to homeowners associations and make the contacts to get in front of the board of directors, think about the opportunity that you have. When you're in front of that board of directors, you're going to have the opportunity to present your credentials, to tell them why you're qualified to be standing in front of them talking about an investment vehicle that they aren't familiar with. You're going to get to tell them about your practice and about your expertise. Folks, that board of directors consists of individuals. And I've seen it happen over and over in presentations in front of boards. After the meeting, it's almost inevitable. Somebody will pull you aside and say, well, I don't really know what the board's going to do, but I've got some personal stuff I want to talk to you about. Folks, it's a great opportunity not only to pick up homeowners association reserve money, but also to acquire new clients. And think about it. Who's sitting on the board? The centers of influence in that community. These are people that were elected to these positions. They know everyone. They're known by everyone. You make one or two of them clients, you have a referral source that could, well, literally go on and on and on. And we've had so much luck with homeowners associations and so many agents looking to penetrate what used to be an impenetrable market, a market that you didn't have the right product for, that we've also been able to do some custom things and work in the direction of how to approach homeowners associations. You know, I've recently created a presentation piece designed for homeowners associations and designed to address their needs and their issues. And I'll do this for you. If you have the opportunity, not just if you know of one, but if you have the opportunity to get in front of a homeowners association, I'll be more than happy to take this presentation piece and customize it to your needs. So if you have an opportunity, be sure and give me a call here at Alternative Design. But again, one of the easiest ways to find and get into homeowners associations is by surveying your existing client base, old cases that you've already written, generating you new revenue. Now, there's one more idea that I have to share with you, and it's not even an original idea. It came to me it was given to me by one of our new consultants. He's an independent consultant. He has a practice all his own, so he spends his time some with us and some out in the field, you know, under fire just like you are. And he came up with a great idea that he's been doing with his client base. I call it Create Your Own Annuity Trail Commissions. And what Thomas Geyer, our new independent consultant, has been doing is he's been going back through his client base and looking for those accounts that are in qualified money. He's looking for annuities inside IRAs. And Thomas has been a pretty successful guy, has a pretty big client base. So when he finds an IRA case that has an annuity in it that's in excess of $250,000, he does something that he calls annuity leveraging. He looks at that case and approaches the client and says, you know, you're entitled to a 10% free withdrawal. But why would you do that if it was just going to sit around and do nothing? Why not take that 10% free withdrawal from the annuity and purchase a new market-linked CD with it? This gives you the opportunity to leverage that investment and add diversification to that IRA account. And Thomas says, you know, it's almost like trail commissions on annuities. Yeah, you got paid up front to write the annuity, now he can improve the client's circumstances by taking advantage of those 10% free withdrawals. And, in many cases, taking those free withdrawals out is actually going to end up pretty much reducing the time that the surrender charge runs and putting them into another safe money product, as Jack Marion was emphatic about with me at lunch, that this is a perfect companion. These products don't compete with each other. They go side by side. And here, with the ability to take a 10% free withdrawal and leverage that annuity by adding market-linked CDs to it, you've got what I think is an absolute great idea. I've talked about the Entree marketing system a number of times, so I'm not going to spend any time today discussing it. Many of you have already acquired it and are making great use of it. I just want to point out that in each of these instances, if you have the Entree marketing system available to you, you've got an opportunity not just to start the conversation about CDs, but offer valuable information to people who are in CDs and wondering how to get a higher return on their certificates of deposit. Again, I bring it up because April is CD rollover month, and what used to be an automatic thing has now become a head scratcher. And your clients and prospects are going, what am I supposed to do next? These interest rates are killing me. And you've got an opportunity to provide them with some information through the Entree marketing system that likely will result in an appointment and the opportunity to discuss market-linked CDs, and then, of course, cross-sell into your other product lines. So just a quick reminder, I mentioned at the beginning of today's broadcast that the cutoff dates for March are coming up this coming Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if you're not sure what the exact cutoff date for the product you're about to write is, be sure and check in with your business consultant. Very quickly, the Bank of the West Commodities and the Goldman Sachs 8-year product, both of those cut off on Monday. So we must have everything in by 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this coming Monday on both the Bank of the West Commodities Income Advantage product and the Goldman Sachs product. So if you're working on cases there, you want to make sure that that you get that in prior to this coming Monday. The Bank of the West Equity Index product, or Equity Income Advantage product, and the Bank of the West 7-year equity product, both of those cut off on Tuesday. And then the Bank of the West linked to the Morningstar Ultimate Stock Pickers Index, you have until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. So keep those cutoff dates in mind because we're coming right up to the end. And as you know, Chris Gross does a marvelous job of putting things together at the last minute, but it is pretty hectic around here with Chris running around with his hair on fire all the time. So if you've got cases you're working on, if there's any way we can help you get them in, let us know, call your business consultant, and we would love to give you any kind of assistance that we can. With that, I'm going to do what I do on a regular basis, which is answer questions at the end. I should have announced that at the beginning so you would know, but what I'm going to do is pause here for just a moment. In case you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat box on your control panel, and I'll be happy to respond to as many questions as I possibly can and address those issues. I have a question from Dick. Can attendees get a copy of the HOA brochure? And Dick, the answer is they're customizable, so I'm not sending them out just to send them out. But if you've got a potential meeting, I'll be more than happy to get that in your hands and customize it to your particular circumstances. Yeah, Thomas Geyer, the independent consultant that I talked about a little bit earlier on idea number 3, is online as well, and he sent me not a question but a comment. This is with low renewal rates, and that's why he's doing it. He's looking at low renewal rates on many of the annuities that he's put in place, and this is an opportunity to get the client a better rate of return in addition to diversifying. And the same is also true when you have an MVA circumstance where it makes sense. Let's see. David asks, does the marketing system come pre-printed, or do we have to have them printed locally? The answer, David, is they are sent in digital form. So if you want hard copy, then yeah, you would have to have them printed locally, but you can make as many copies as you like. If you got more questions about that, feel free to contact me. My number directly is 858-240-2059. That's 858-240-2059. Okay, here's a question from Terry. He says, I know my HOA president and vice president, but how is the best way to get an HOA meeting? Well, Terry, it depends on your circumstances, and I would be happy to discuss that with you one-on-one, but just without being able to have a phone conversation with you, I would say a very casual conversation about, where the association's long-term reserves are invested and what types of restrictions are there on what they can be invested in. And you're likely to find that the bylaws are quite restrictive. It has to be in an FDIC-insured account, and that the money is currently being held in CDs, or worse, in a money market account. I would follow it with the question of, well, then would the board be interested in an FDIC-insured account that has the potential for a much more reasonable rate of return? I would think from our experience here, it's relatively easy to get a few minutes on the board's agenda to talk about alternatives like that, especially if you have an effective pre-approach piece like the Entree marketing system, for example, or the one that we did here in-house. So that's a conversation, Terry, that either you and I can have, or that you should have with your business consultant here at Alternative Design. Bill asks, what was your phone number and email address? Once again, I'm Tim Harding. And the direct line to my desk is 858-240-2059. 858-240-2059. And my email address is tim.harding, H-A-R-D-I-N-G, at ADIS, as in Alternative Design Insurance Services, USA.net. And if you got questions or ideas about any of the three ideas that I've tried to share today, please don't hesitate to contact me. Pat asks, what's Jack's last name? Mr. Annuity. Yeah, it's Jack Marion, M-A-R-I-O-N. Jack publishes a number of periodicals that you can subscribe to. He also has a website that I find quite useful. It's Index Compendium. Index Compendium. And you can find him relatively easy. If you did a Google search on Jack Marion, M-A-R-I-O-N, I'm sure you would find a great many things. Website that you would find for Jack would be www.indexannuity.org. Thank you, Thomas, for tossing that in there. That's www.indexannuity.org. And great stuff in there from Jack. I highly recommend him. He's a diligent researcher and, as I said earlier, a true advocate for fixed indexed annuities, and now for market-linked CDs as well. So with that, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. It's good to be back in the saddle. It was fun to go up to Orange County and speak in front of an audience instead of in front of a microphone, but I'm glad to be back. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. We appreciate your business. We're having a great month, and look forward to seeing you back here next week. Same time, same place, 11:35 Pacific time. Until then, have a great week.